Welcome to Garbage and Gold,
the podcast that is revolutionizing rhetoric, overflowing with opinions, and swathed in silliness.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Lindsey.
Each week we pick the worst and the best of a certain topic and present our ideas for each other and for you listeners. Then you all have the ability to weigh in on who you agree with more and share your picks with us.
We will give you more info on how to do that at the end of the show.
But before we dive into our topic for this week's episode, let's hit the recap and poll results from last week.
So Lisa, the poll results for our Disney villains episode. In the showdown between my garbage of Prince John from Robin Hood and your garbage Scar from The Lion King, I do win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do win. Yep.
Okay. I didn't realize this at the time, but like quickly after the episode came out, I realized that we both chose a lion for our garbage.
Interesting.
I don't know what that means. Anyway, just thought I would share that.
We anti-lion? Maybe.
I guess so. I don't know. Maybe.
We'll see. And then in our showdown, our gold showdown between my choice of Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty and your choice of Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco, I do win that one as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So that, friends, is a Lindsey sweep.
That is a Lindsey sweep.
Lindsey sweep. How do you feel about that, Lisa?
Doesn't feel great. Yeah, does not feel super great.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably feel great about it. I don't, but that's good for you.
Really good, yeah.
You felt really confident going into it too.
But then I was afraid that the confidence would be like, I'm not voting for her. She's being a brat.
She feels too good about herself. Vote her down.
That's right. I don't want her to get too big of a head, so get her. But you didn't. So thank you. Thank you, lovely listeners,
you did good.
And your votes.
You did good. You had great choices, I will say. So I completely
you.
Understand. And yeah,
I think you had interesting choices. No, I don't mean no. Don't laugh at that.
You don't mean the Minnesota version of interesting?
No, I don't mean it's like bless your heart. No, but you had interesting reasons for your choices. I just don't know that.
Yeah.
That criteria was the same criteria that I had used, or that,
absolutely.
And that's something that even people said, like, if you, I just have to go with Lindsey's criteria. It's like, thank you, Spencer from Fortress of Nerditude. Appreciate that.
Yep,
so,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So we did have some fact checks from fact checker Colby that we wanted to share. So apparently my theory that when you call someone a fox, it is not from this Robin Hood movie, but it dates back to like the 1800s. And I did not know this, but the female foxes are called vixens. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that is where that all comes from. So yeah, so not from the Robin Hood movie, sadly.
Correct, which is unfortunate, but
It is unfortunate.
It would have been such a cool thing to be like, yeah, it's because the animated Disney's Robin Hood was so attractive.
It was
people everywhere just started swooning and they couldn't help themselves.
This is a really good hypothesis.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. So Lisa, do you have some comments you would like to share?
I do. This is one of those weeks where people have really been not nice to me about my choices, except for some people on Instagram have been very supportive. At Cole Barons, our friend Cole, our illustrator of the show, who's wonderful, on Instagram did hashtag Lisa Gold because continuing a lie into the afterlife, this is Ernesto de la Cruz, to stay famous is way more villainous than being mad for not getting invited. Which is Maleficent, which I appreciate. And then I heard from multiple people if I'd chosen Ursula as my if I had chosen Ursula as my gold, that I would have won. And listen, I choose who I want because it's what I believe in, not just to win. If I wanted to win, yes, I would have picked Ursula. However, I think Ernesto de la Cruz is truly a gold villain. So that is why I chose him. So I get it. Ursula is amazing and I adore her. But this just goes to show I'm going with my heart, not for like, oh, this is for sure gonna win. No, I'm going because I have integrity. It's called integrity, people. I won't be shamed.
I don't think anyone was shaming. They was like,
oh,
Lisa, I don't understand.
Are you joking me that no one was shaming me? Oh my goodness. Go take a peek at the social medias, Lindsay. There's some shaming.
Oh no, I saw it. But it was more like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's kind of that monster territory again for me. So, All right, and what about you? What were your listener comments this week?
So my known nemesis, Matt, did vote for a Lindsey landslide and then wrote, "What is happening?" And Matt, you're coming to the dark side. I appreciate the alliteration on the Lindsey landslide. And I don't know. You are quickly moving out of nemesis territory, and I'm concerned about that. I'm very concerned.
Right.
Yeah, I have.
It's like is he a snake in the grass? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is he trying to lure me into letting him out of nemesis territory, and then? Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm watching you, Matt. That's all I got to say about that. And then Andrew from Praise the Game said, I must watch Coco. I don't must do anything. Andrew. And Lisa already spoiled the ending for me, so why would I need to watch it now?
I told you, it's such a beautiful film. I will say this, too. People that watched Coco, like, you could tell the people that have seen Coco, because they were like, yes! Like, they get it. They get it, but not everybody has seen it, and because it hasn't been, it's not a classic like the other ones.
Don't sit there and be like, anyone who's seen Coco votes for Coco. That's
I
not
didn't say
true.
that. I didn't say that.
You
I said
inferred
anyone who's
that.
seen it has been like, yeah, like it's a great movie. But then people were still like, but Maleficent is still like OG, and I respect that. I respect that. So
she's legit.
She is. Soup's legit. She turns into a dragon. I don't know.
She turns into a dragon.
Obviously, I couldn't beat it, so, you know.
Yeah, you couldn't. You also couldn't beat Prince John.
I couldn't. As our friend Cole also put with his vote, you can't be a good villain if you still suck your thumb. So, yep. I mean, probably the only argument you needed, honestly. Right.
I can't believe I missed that one. Dang it. Thanks, Cole. Thanks for picking that up.
Oh, so good. So good. All right. So with our listener comments finished, now on to the show. All right. This week we are deliberating the garbage and gold of camping.
Do we just want to? I was going to say, do we just want to share opinions on camping up front, or do we want to let them discover it during the episode?
I think we should probably front load with it because I think a lot of our things are going to be very biased. Yeah,
right.
How many times have you been camping in your life? Do you think?
That's not a great question. I have probably been camping 3 times in my life.
How many of those did you enjoy?
The one time I camped in a camper.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that marginally. How about you, Lisa?
I think I went camping, like real camping, in a tent camping once. One time.
Yeah.
One time.
Yeah.
Did not enjoy it.
Nope.
At all.
We are not camping people.
We are not. We are indoor creatures, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But we have an episode because there's got to be garbage and there's got to be gold for this thing. Even if it's not for us, we are professionals, and we're going to find it.
And this is how much we care about you listeners and our audience. Like, you guys probably like camping.
Maybe. And you know what? It's seasonal, so we're trying to keep things current. I mean, it's summer. People go camping in the summer, I think. It's a thing that people do.
Is it a northern thing, though? Like, do people go camping in the South?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's where I went camping, was in the South.
Okay. Just making sure. Because, Texas gets real hot. I don't want to...
It does. Well, I guess, okay, so if we're counting when I worked at camp, because we would have, camp outs, so then I probably have been camping probably 15, 20 times. And of those, I still would say I've enjoyed it once. Because even then, I was like in charge of kids, and it was fine. And it's, you know, we'll get to why the camping is not complete trash. But still, if it's gonna come down to sleeping in a cabin or sleeping in a tent, I'm gonna choose a cabin. I'm gonna every time.
Yeah,
every time.
Yep.
So
or a camper. Oh,
yeah.
The last time I camped, I was in a camper, and I was like, oh, this is the life.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you bring that up because for our purposes, we will be discussing camping as like a tent and sleeping bags and not like with the camper, because we're talking about like tents, rusticy, under the stars style camping. So here are some stats via Campgrounds of America, also known as KOA. There has been a 64% increase in people who camp more than 3 times a year since 2014.
What?
Yeah, so the camping is going up. But it's not even just people that do it. People are doing it more individually. So of those, 14% of them are campers using cabins, 24% are people using RVs, and 61% are using tents. So there are still a lot of like classic camp people out there. So... but I will say also, campers are now more likely to camp closer to home than ever, with 46% likely to camp within 50 miles of their house. So a couple more things for the research here this week. I looked up a couple different articles on camping. The first one is from active.com, and these are a few of the top camping etiquette tips. First, it's called Leave No Trace. So it's like clean your area, like your campground area, whatever. So you want to make it look like no one has been there, so it's pristine, whatever. So the next people that come in and camp, like it's ready for them, I guess. Kind of dovetailing into that, in the second one, there was a lot of tips on leaving wood, fire starters, notes, etc. for the next group of people that come into camp. So... you could leave like the little styrofoam cups with lint in it for like a fire starter for them or whatever. It's kind of like a paying it forward type deal. So when someone comes, or there's like wood ready for a fire if they get there late, whatever. So very, very kind, some paying it forward stuff. The third is it says to make longtime friends. Like,
what?
No. Yeah. That's a tip, is to like make friends camping. I gotta tell you, no, well, I'm not doing that. Yeah, well, yeah.
Obviously, we know who we're talking to. And, like, outdoor Lindsey, like, if I'm going to have to be camping, it's a real different person than real Lindsey.
Yeah.
You know, like, I am putting on my, like, Ranger Joe persona, being like, look how great it is outside. And that's not how I really am. So that's not a real friendship. That's a...
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the times that I have gone... the time I went camping... was with friends already, and so I was going to be with them. I wasn't going to meet new people, which I never am trying to meet new people ever, obviously. But let's say for this instance, I don't know that I'm just going to try to find a random group of people that's a campground over just because it's like, oh, let's talk to you because you happen to be next to me. That's like you're checking out at Target, and there's people checking out 2 aisles over, like, we're at Target at the same time. It does not mean that we're going to be friends, right? Like, I'm not forging a relationship with you because of our proximity in a place. That's ridiculous. So, no.
I do feel like people who camp, though, are, like, the friendliest people.
They really are.
They are the ones, like, visiting every other campsite and, like, saying hello.
Yeah.
And good on ya. Good on
ya. Yes. Yeah.
That is a culture. It's a whole culture, and I can appreciate it from afar.
Yeah.
I'm an anthropologist. I'm going to look at that and go, good for you.
That is neat.
Study it, and then I won't go in it.
No. God. And then my second little nugget of facts for our episode today comes from Thought Catalog. The article is called 7 Reasons Why Camping Sucks.
Okay, but then this isn't going to ruin our garbages, is it?
No.
Spoiler alert.
Nope. I was very careful. Okay. So the number 1, you can't sleep in because sun. So like you're going to camp and chill and relax, and then the sun is up at 6 a.m. or whatever, and you're up. You don't get to sleep in when you're camping. It is like not possible to sleep in when you're camping because Mother Nature's like, nah, it's time to get up. The second thing, cleanliness is essentially non-existent. Like,
yeah.
I am very sweaty in the summer, and I hate feeling sweaty, and I don't care for that very much. And then going to sleep in the sweat, waking up with the crusty salt sweat, I hate it. So cleanliness is just not a thing that's going to be happening for you while you're camping. And finally, finding the right camping spot. I guess that's a problem for people. I don't know enough about camping, obviously, because the one time I went, people knew what they were doing, and so I just followed their lead. But apparently you need to look for certain types of areas to put your tent and whatever, and that apparently is a problem, because you've been driving for a long time, you just want to get there and enjoy the camping experience, but then you have to do all the setup stuff. But before you can even do that, you have to find a place to put it that's in the right spot. I don't know. So those were some of the reasons why camping sucks. But I bet you and I have a couple more reasons why.
Do you think we're like the stepmom in the original Parent Trap movie? That, remember when they take her out to the woods and she can't do anything, and then the girls tell her that she needs to bang sticks together so she doesn't get eaten by bears? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't, but that does sound like me. That sounds
You need to watch the original Parent Trap from the 60s, because it is delightful on a lot of levels, but they take this city person out camping and just torture her. And that feels like what we feel like about camping all the time.
Yes, it certainly does. So, Lindsey, those were some things that are terrible about camping. What is your most garbage thing about camping?
Oh, Lisa.
Yes.
My most garbage thing about camping is the lack of toilets. So when you were talking earlier about needing to find the right campsite, for me, the right campsite is next to the building with bathrooms in it.
Totally.
But that is not at every campground, and it is not always available. And so running water really in general is the key to me being functional as a person.
Yeah.
I need a shower. I need to be able to wash my hands. And I really, really, really need a toilet. One time I was traveling in Europe and I really had to pee. I was in Italy. And so I stood in line for a really long time for this bathroom. There was no public bathrooms. There was one on the outside. It was in a medieval walled city in northern Italy. And I stood in line for the bathroom, and this Italian man stood outside the bathroom with a mop. And in between every person, he'd go in with a mop. And I walked in the door, and it is legit. And it's made of porcelain, but it's a hole in the ground that you're supposed to just squat over. And I had to pee so bad. And I did not pee. And I held it for a 35-minute bus ride through a mountain. Because I was like, I am not going to do it. I need a toilet, my friends. And part of that is, and I will admit, as a female, there is I don't understand the women who can squat and go.
God bless them.
God bless them. I don't understand it. That is never
their
worked
anatomy
for me.
different or things? I don't know. I have a lot of questions that we're not going to get into right now, obviously. But I struggle with free peeing in the woods. Yeah, I cannot.
It's never going to be good. And there are certain campgrounds that not only don't have a building with bathrooms in them, but they make you pack your poop and paper out of the woods. So if you, in order to preserve the natural thing or whatever, you have to, like a dog, you have to take your waste, your human waste with you. So, and if you go to boundarywatersblog.com, you find out all kinds of things. There are recommendations on how far away from a water source you should be to go to the bathroom so you do not contaminate your water source. So you need to make sure you are 100 to 200 feet away from your water source so you do not contaminate it. And they also say if it's more than one person camping, you should dig a latrine. Friends, that's a hole in the ground, latrine. Yeah. And you should dig it where, it gets better, Lisa. You should dig it where there is privacy and that it's 100 to 200 feet away from your water source, but also has plenty of sun so the decomposition can be sped up by the sun.
Oh my God, what? A bright, sunny spot to poop.
Yeah, because then the sun will help break that down faster.
Wow.
And they also suggest if you're going to be going places, and this one I think is especially focusing on like boundary waters kinds of thing, so, which is in northern Minnesota, and they're very like, you have to protect the environment. This has to be like, you have to bring in everything and take everything out, and like,
rightfully so.
Yes, rightfully so. Good for them. But like, you even should mark where your latrine was at the end. So
people
that
don't like double up.
Yeah. Or like people don't step in it, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I know that this is how my ancestors did it. I understand that.
Yes.
But I mean, I'll even take like, I have like a genuine phobia of porta potties, but give me an outhouse or a porta potty any day. Please don't make me go to the bathroom in the middle of nowhere without a toilet. Please, I'm begging you. Begging you. And because you're camping, like, not only are you doing your business outside, but like, you're not getting clean. Like, your hands are not clean afterwards. Oh, I think I just made Lisa throw up. Are you okay? You gonna make it?
I'm gagging. God dang it. Yes.
This is a good garbage, my friend.
Okay.
Gag factor.
Woof. Okay,
Yeah, but like, you're never clean. Your hands are not clean. So as you're taking care of business, it's very possible that you hit some of your clothing as you're going. You know, sometimes it's good to get away from technology and into Mother Nature. I think toilet is the modern technology that we can just keep with us forever.
Please.
And if you don't, and if you're like, well, I don't dig a hole in the ground, that means you're carrying in a bathroom of some kind.
I was about to ask that. Maybe there is like a toilet you can bring with you. And then I'm also thinking you still have to deal with it.
Yeah. And even if you have a camper, it goes into a tank and you have to deal with the human waste in your tank.
Still gotta deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Give me a toilet any day. I'm very sorry.
It's real garbage. You're good.
I'm just, and it was like instant when you're like, what's the worst thing about camping? I'm like, the bathroom situation. Hello. Are you ready? Have you recovered from my garbage to talk about your garbage, Lisa?
I don't think I'm ever going to fully recover, but yeah, no, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. So my garbage of camping is the unpredictability of the weather. So preparing and packing for an indoor-only trip is already like a lot to think about. But then you're going to add in like the Mother Nature piece. And then, like you said, you have to be responsible about what you're bringing, how you're bringing it, how you're going to get it out, whatever. So you can't just bring all the things. You need to be thoughtful about that. But then also you have all the weather to think about. So weather can make you absolutely miserable. Like Lindsey and I have said, we already don't particularly want to be there.
Right.
And then any sort of like deviation to perfect weather is going to make that worse. So like rain, awful. Cold, awful. Heat, awful. And you have no control over those things. You have none. If it's damp, it means there's a ton of bugs. If it's windy, it means your stuff is going everywhere. Like, it's just, there's so many things that can go wrong with the weather pieces of that. So you're out there, you're trying to have a chill time in nature, and it can absolutely destroy your experience in minutes. And sometimes it's one of those things where you've planned your trip for weeks in advance, and then there's going to be a storm, so you can't go. Or you're like, oh, maybe it's not going to be that bad, and then it is. Like, it's already really, really hard to do all of the camping things in perfect weather conditions, and then you throw in any of that stuff, and it's just like, I don't want to be here even more. Yeah. This is miserable. I hate it. I hate it.
I never feel more like a Victorian English woman than when it's cold and damp. Like, I'm just like, oh, it's getting in my, I'm getting rheumatism.
Yes. Like, I'm achy.
Yeah. I'm just, I'm never going to get warm again. I'm cold and damp.
I'm cold to the bone. Yes. But then you're outside and you're just like, oh God, it's miserable. It's just miserable.
And especially if you're tenting for it to rain, and then even just be muddy, like it has rained. Like that means that mud is on your pillow. I don't even know how that happens, but it is in there. It's in your pillow. And like, I still don't know, like, when you're tenting, how do you take your shoes off? Like, without getting it everywhere? Like, I don't know. I don't understand it. Maybe people who actually camp can help us understand that a little bit.
Yeah, tell us how you do it, because I know people really love it.
Yeah.
Because I will say this, if the weather is great, or you're like in the tent and it rains overnight, like hearing the rain on the tent, like that's really nice. Like, okay, fine. But let's say that you're like in the middle of eating and the wind picks up and it starts raining. That's miserable. Or it's just so hot you can't sleep at night and there's no wind movement. That's awful. Like, there's just so many things about the weather and camping.
And or what happens if the wind picks up from the direction in which you dug your latrine? And so it's just coming right at you.
100 feet from camp? 200 feet from camp?
100 to 200 feet. From your water source.
From your water source.
Yes.
No. So, again, there are lots of things that I could say are garbage about camping. But then when I think about, like, why don't I want to go? That's why. That's the number one thing I think of, is that I will be physically uncomfortable based on the weather. Yes. For sure. That is my garbage.
It's a good one. It is.
All right. So from two very, 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 very admittedly indoorsy women, Lindsey, what is something that you think would be like pretty gold about camping that wouldn't be so awful?
Well, and this is kind of a more specific to like what kind of camping you choose to do. But I think there's something wonderful about the peace and quiet, especially if you're tenting like somewhere just remote. Is there anything better than like waking up in the morning to like the sound of nothing? Yeah. Or going to sleep at night and kind of hearing like the world around you settle in and like just how beautiful that is. And like, you can usually, when you are camping, especially if you're going kind of remote, you don't have Wi-Fi signal, you don't have all of that other stuff, you don't have traffic sounds, and so it's just so peaceful and so quiet, and it allows you to just decompress in a way that like checking your work email right before bed does not help you decompress. So maybe like, I love reading a book when I've camped. Like, I'll just bring a book along because I have no other distractions. You just look at nature a little bit, or like if you have kids, you like go out into the woods and like collect things, and like there's just all this stuff that you can do and really kind of bond with nature, which I do think is there's something very cleansing and whole in that kind of thing, and it takes you back to a simpler time. And then for me personally, like the greatest thing for me to unwind and relax and like understand my place in the universe is to be by water. And so there's nothing better, like, especially we live in Minnesota and there's a lot of lakes here. And so to camp by a lake or camp by the river where you can like go out on the lake or just even stand on the beach and listen to the water. And I just think there's something so decompressing and beautiful in that. And so like just that peace and quiet, and sometimes that is ruined by like your camping neighbors, like who are
that are trying to be lifelong friends with you.
They want to build lifelong friendships with you, and you just want to
I just want to be by myself.
I just want to find pine cones. Leave me alone. But yeah, there's just something so peaceful and such a slower pace to camping that is really wonderful. There's something like I think being in nature like resets you in some ways.
It does. That is a good one. And that is, I think, one of the biggest draws to camping is just getting to a different, like, physical space for sure, but just like a different mental and emotional space of being quiet and what that feels like really, without the distractions of it.
Yeah.
Because it is really hard to do in our everyday setting, because there's just so many things that you see visually that remind you of other things you need to do, or just you have access to things all the time.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that, your brain is like, okay, we can chill out for a little bit for real now.
Yeah.
So,
and like, I grew up on a farm, which is funny that I'm not outdoorsy, because I like grew up basically in a very outdoorsy place. But like, some of my favorite childhood memories are like going and catching fireflies or lightning bugs. And, you know, like my parents don't live on the farm anymore, but when they did, like, it was so dark. It was so dark at night. And it's amazing, like, how easy it is to fall asleep when it's like, I can't see anything. So I'm just going to close my eyes and like, there's no sound around me. And there's just something so, like, just it's a different pace of life. And it is really, really nice. Take a jar along and catch some lightning bugs.
So cute. Yeah. A mason jar, please.
Obviously a mason jar. Who has any other kind of jar?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's only one kind.
Don't bring a non-mason jar, weirdos. Pickle jar? Don't bring a pickle jar. Be better than that. Lightning bugs deserve better
than a pickle jar.
You are actually murdering lightning bugs, so at least give them a good place to live their final days.
Oh my god, did you keep them for like more than just an hour or something?
Yeah, sometimes you'd like, when you're small, you like, but they don't live that long.
Well,
like,
no,
even in the jar, like, you don't necessarily release them and they live.
Oh.
Do they?
I guess, I don't know. Every time I caught them, it was like I caught them and then I let them go, like, before I went to bed.
Oh, I don't think I did. I think I'm a lightning bug murderer. Did you call them lightning bugs or fireflies?
Lightning bugs.
Yeah, I don't remember what we called them.
Yeah, and as summer is approaching in Minnesota, they are all over the place.
They are
all over the place here, so.
We encourage you to enjoy some peace and quiet this summer.
Totally. Yeah.
Decompress, unplug for a little bit, and enjoy a little bit of nature. And then at the end of the night, you can go back to your house and take a shower and use your toilet and sleep in your bed.
With no mud.
With
How about
no
that?
mud. Absolutely. All right, so Lisa, that is my gold. Let's hear, what is your gold of camping?
Yeah, my gold of camping, and the thing that I love most about thinking back on my camp experiences, the thing I liked about the one time I went, was the campfire. So what's so gold about the campfire is it's this blend of really kind of fun, unique food stuff that you bring when you go camping. So s'mores, obviously, is like my favorite thing ever. S'mores is my favorite flavor of anything of all time. Like, the Dairy Queen s'mores blizzard is the most delicious thing on this planet.
I've not had one.
Ooh, do yourself a favor. When you get it, get extra gram base. You're welcome.
Does it matter that I have a dairy allergy?
Yes.
Is it worth it?
Because it's ice cream. Yes, it's worth it.
Okay.
You can get the mini. The mini's pretty small.
Okay.
So anyway, so it's delicious. So I love s'more flavored things, and that always makes me think of camping too. But also even just like roasting hot dogs or whatever on the campfire. It's just like things that you eat there that just feel different. But then also the deep discussions that happen around a campfire are really dope. So let's assume the weather cooperates, which is super nice of you, nature, and you get to go camping in good conditions. Hanging by the campfire is just this quietly powerful time for bonding and discussion and all that. And there's something that feels so special and sacred about being by the bright flames and then like surrounded by darkness around you. And it feels like you're secluded and like alone in that moment, which just opens you up to like these deep questions of like the meaning of life and brutal honesty and whatever. And it just feels like there's something about that isolation of you and whoever you're with in that just feels like a very bonding, connecting moment. So Lindsey and I have shared before that we work with students, and I don't know how many times you've been able to have a campfire or something like that with students, but it's always a very powerful experience then too, because it feels like all the emotions are just like turned up to 11 because everybody just feels more open and vulnerable and safe around a campfire.
I had a student who was super like patient, and she loved roasting a marshmallow like slowly and perfectly. And so she'd always be like, do you want me to make you a s'more? And I'd be like, yes, I do, because I don't have to do it. And then she would hand me this like perfectly toasted marshmallow s'more. And I was like, oh, that is a thing of beauty.
S'mores are a little bit tricky because, especially for me, I feel like we're not going to be on the same here, but I like mine burnt. Do you like a burnt marshmallow?
Of course you do. I do not like it burnt. I like it gradually toasted.
It also has to be cooked through. So you can't just catch it on fire right away. Otherwise, the inside is still raw. So you do the slow roasting. And at the very end, you just get that nice and charred. And you get that carcinogen just all the way around it. And then you put it in your mouth.
You're welcome, body. It's not bad for you at all.
Oh, good. God, I love a burnt marshmallow so much. God, it's so good.
I once was camping in England. And they built a bonfire. I did not buy it. I did not build it. But it was like this group of 20-somethings. And so they built this bonfire that legit was like 7 feet tall. It was very tall. And they were like, we're going to roast marshmallows. I'm like, you cannot roast marshmallows on that. And they found a board. And they would line up marshmallows at the end of the board and shove it in the fire. I was like, this is not working.
That's not
really
how
fun.
this goes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, but you couldn't put it on a stick because you couldn't get that close. You'd burn your eyebrows.
Yeah.
But that may be the garbage of a campfire. Sometimes you burn your eyebrows off.
Sometimes you lose some hair.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And there is a hidden garbage in this, though, Lisa, that you have not mentioned. And that is sitting by a campfire means your clothes will smell like that. And you will smell like that until you have washed them.
I happen to like that smell.
Okay. I don't know that I love that. I like the smell when it's happening, but like the next day when I haven't gotten quite to my laundry yet and it's like there's a campfire smell coming from my laundry room, I don't love that.
Oh, see, I don't know. I don't think that bothers me. But I guess it could be garbage to some people, like cilantro or Jeremy Renner. It'll be a divisive issue for some. Campfire smell on your clothes.
Sorry, Jeremy Renner. I haven't seen Endgame yet, but apparently someone tweeted he might be the hidden gem in Endgame. So don't tell me anything. Don't even look. Don't even make a face right now, Lisa. Don't even make a face. Don't look at me.
Okay, I'm not looking.
I'm gonna see.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at me. I'm gonna see it. I just haven't seen it yet. It's busy.
Okay, fine.
I'm busy.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Okay, fine.
All right. So with the campfire, if you can be eating the perfectly roasted s'more while talking about the meaning of life,
Or how much Jeremy Renner is terrible.
like, that's really gold. Like, that is really, really, really gold. So that's mine. Campfire. All right, Lindsay, hit us with the recap and tell our listeners how to vote.
You guys can go and vote for our garbage options. My garbage option of the lack of bathrooms, or Lisa's garbage option, the unpredictability of weather, by using the hashtags Lindsey Garbage or Lisa Garbage. And you can cast your vote for our gold options, my gold option of peace and quiet, and Lisa's gold option of a campfire, using the hashtags Lindsey Gold or Lisa Gold on our Instagram and Twitter accounts at Garbage Gold Pod.
Please do that because we like to hear what you guys think and we love chatting with you about your choices. Get up in our feeds and tell us all your feelings.
We will share the poll results and our favorite listener comments on our next episode.
If you haven't already done so, if you could head over to iTunes or wherever it is you listen to us every week and give us a rate, review, and subscribe, we would really appreciate that.
And even better, you tell your friends about your favorite restaurants, you tell your friends about your favorite coffee orders, tell your friends about your favorite podcast, and then make sure it's Garbage and Gold and not something else. But tell your friends about us, because I love when my friends recommend podcasts for me to listen to.
Yeah,
so
right?
Let us be part of your recommendations.
Yeah, dude, do it.
And then you can join us next week when we deliberate the Garbage and Gold of, just in time for June, weddings.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There's so much.
There's a lot in there.
Ooh, yep.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Well, and like the way people do weddings are so different. So like it's not like every wedding is the same because everyone wants to put their personality in it, and maybe we don't want your personality in your wedding. That might not be good.
Depending on how great or not great your personality is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If you're planning your wedding right now, just think about your personality and think about how appealing it is. before you plan a wedding around it.
How great are you? Is everybody else going to think that?
Right.
Is everybody else on board with your greatness?
Because everyone plans their wedding and goes, I think a foot washing ceremony in the middle of that's going to be great. But you don't think through the dress and the suit and the fancy shoes and people just watching you wash someone's feet, which is always gross.
Yes, that is a lot to think about. I never considered having a foot washing ceremony at a wedding, but here it must have happened to you.
It did happen to me, yes. I don't just make these up. I don't lay in bed late at night going, what weird thing could I say on the podcast now? I know. Foot washing at a wedding.
Oh, God, that's so gross. Oof. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be fun next week.
Talking about weddings. A preview of what's coming.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.
We will see you soon.
Bye.